prepared for a spooky surprise. It's Dax. Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you a review of Hot Wax by ML Rio. For full disclosure, I was given a NetGalley copy of this book to read, which I did read in tandem with this beautiful tour edition that I got when I saw her in Blackwell's. Hot Wax is ML Rio's newest book, and it follows a woman at different stages of her life as she examines her relationship with her father and her deep love of music. So this book follows a woman named Suzanne through 2 times in her life. The A side of this book, the first of those dual timelines, is set in 1989, and she is 10, 11 years old, and she is given the opportunity to follow her father, who's kind of like an up-and-coming glam rocker, and his band on tour through the United States in this kind of epic road trip. The second of these timelines is modern day, and we find Suzanne in her 40s. Her father has just passed away and she is devastated, and she is also on the run from a very unhappy marriage, and she ends up kind of unintentionally drifting into a recreation of this trip that she took with her father when she was younger. I think whether or not you're going to like this book really hinges on whether or not you like Suzanne. This book is chock full of really, really complicated characters. A lot of people are not particularly nice, and Suzanne, who we follow for the most part, is a very, very damaged person. She is very much like her rock star father. She feels like an outsider, especially with her mother, who is much more of a kind of conforming, conservative type of woman. And as we see as the A side of this story unfolds, Suzanne has been through a lot. This is one of those books where there is a lot of empathy required for the main character because she is a mess. She is a messed up person, and we find out with pretty good reason. I happen to really, really enjoy books with really complex characters, and I'm a little bit sick and tired of people describing characters who are maybe just like a little bit mean as morally gray. These characters are 100% morally gray. Almost every single one of them is morally gray or just not a very nice person. And if nothing else, they are very, very complicated. I really, really enjoyed watching Suzanne's character arc on the B side when she is an adult, as she changes from someone who is very, very broken, and she begins to sort of enter this almost second childhood, this chance to relive some of these memories that she had that were so bad and so traumatic in a much happier way. I ultimately ended up really, really liking her as a character. I thought she was fascinating, and I really loved where her story went, but I can also see that people might not love her so much. And speaking of characters and morally gray characters, oh my gosh, Suzanne never had a chance. Young Suzanne never had a chance because especially her parents are very, very difficult people. So we have Gil, who is her father, and he's kind of the person that she just loves the most in the world. She's very much a daddy's girl. She looks just like her father. She kind of has a little bit more of an offbeat personality, kind of like her father. She doesn't really fit into the kind of typical 80s girl. And Nora, Suzanne's mother, has a very, very difficult relationship with Gil for good reason. He's the rock star, he's off gallivanting on the road while she is home trying to raise this child with next to no money. These two are like oil and water, they do not mix, and if you want to see a marriage fall apart, oh boy, you get to see it in this book. But it's really interesting to see how their relationship with each other influences the way that they react to Suzanne. Gil is always trying to be the fun parent, but he quite frankly doesn't have to be around for the really hard stuff. He's the one who gets to show up in his fabulous like butter yellow sports car and be like, hey, let's go on the road and be rock stars, while her mom is like desperately trying to keep this household together and keep this girl like growing up in a normal way. However, since Nora has so much resentment towards Gil, she ends up having a really, really volatile relationship with Suzanne, and especially with Suzanne's deep love of music. There's a couple of heartbreaking scenes where all of Suzanne's physical media is destroyed, and that really, really hurt. There's also a number of other side characters. We have the entire band, especially the guitarist, whose name is Skelly, who is someone who is also in a really, really volatile but kind of magical artistic relationship with Gil. They feed off of each other's negative and positive energy, and they have these explosive shows. This is very much a character-driven novel. There is a fair bit of plot, but really it's the interactions with these characters, the relationships with each other, and the ways that their kind of egos balance each other out and how their egos determine their actions, sometimes to a huge detriment to the other characters in this book. I am a huge fan of ML Rio's writing, and I think that this book showcases it really well. Now, granted, I haven't read All of Us Villains, that's in a box somewhere, but I have read Graveyard Shift, which is basically a short story masquerading as a novella. And so it was really nice to be able to see a full book of her writing and to see sort of where she can take her prose. And I think that she's an incredibly strong writer, especially the music scenes in this book. If you are anyone who has ever been to, I'm not talking like big concerts, I'm talking like grimy dive bar shows, you will like have flashbacks because the way that she writes those shows in this book, it's just absolutely incredible. You can tell that she was, or maybe still is, a music journalist, and you can tell that she absolutely loves music. The sort of all of the shows that they put on, whether they're in the small venues or a bigger show, is just absolutely electrifying. I like could not put the book down when one of those scenes was going on. I just thought they were absolutely incredible. One of the things that I really loved about this that really has stuck with me is how much physical media, whether it's vinyls and CDs, so the music that Suzanne listens to, but especially photographs, are so incredibly important to her childhood and her childhood memories. She has this packet of Polaroids that she took because she is an aspiring photographer. She gets her first camera when she's a child, and she takes all of these photos on tour, and they have such strong memories for her. It's kind of her way of reminding herself that this thing did actually happen. And as we are kind of in a time where physical media really feels like it's dying and streaming is taking over, and these kind of music and photos feel so ephemeral, I really loved what she had to say about physical media and the importance of these things. I'm going to be busting out my record player as soon as we move in. I am definitely eyeing up a Polaroid camera now. Now, this wasn't a perfect book for me. I do have a couple of quibbles with it. Some of them are spoilery, but some of them really have to do with that kind of B-side storyline where she is an adult. There are a couple of characters named Simon and Phoebe who play a big role in her sort of 40-something life and her kind of rediscovery of herself, and I just didn't find them all that interesting. I kind of forgot their names until yesterday when I was talking about this book with my friend, and we both had to sit there for a second and be like, what are those two's names? They didn't really jump off the page for me, and partially because of that, I really, until the midway point in this book, was not interested in what was going on in Suzanne's kind of modern life, really at all. Some of the things that I would have loved to have seen explored a little bit more, especially with the fact that he has passed away and she's inherited all of his stuff, and she has all of this stuff in her life now. I would have loved to see a little bit more of that kind of thing. I would have loved to see more of that investigation with her relationship with her father, who she absolutely loved, but she has a horrible relationship with by the time he has passed away. I would have liked to have seen a lot more of that, and we do see a little bit in these kind of snapshots that are just kind of like a one-off point in time between the A side and the B side. So that was great, but I would have liked a little bit more of that. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I would definitely recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think that her writing is just wonderful. And if you get the chance to see her while she is on tour for this book, you absolutely should, because she is a fascinating person. So I would absolutely recommend this book. I think it's going to be one that will spark a lot of discussion and a lot of debate, regardless of whether you loved it or not. And if you have read this book, I would absolutely love to hear in the comments below whether or not you liked it, what you thought of it, and especially what you thought of the characters, because they're so important to the story. So that is it for today, and I will talk to you soon.